In my opinion, stealth is dumb. This is just my opinion based off of my experience. This isn't like the law of the land. If anything, you would probably want to make it look like maybe someone would be inside that vehicle. Good morning. So it's been a couple months that I've been living in the truck camper. And if you've been following along with this channel, you know that before this, I've lived in 2 Sprinter vans. And so after a few months of living in the truck camper, I just thought that it might be helpful to go over a couple of the pros and the cons and some of the reasons why I really like living in this truck camper compared to living in a van. Obviously, there's pros and cons to each style of living. Before anybody goes crazy in the comments, this is just my opinion. It's just my opinion based off of experience, obviously, but this isn't like any sort of set in stone guideline on the right or wrong way to do things. Obviously, everybody's living situation and preferences are different. I'm just going to go over some of the reasons why I really love my truck camper compared to vans, and just go over some of the pros and also some of the cons of a truck camper as well. And hopefully, if you're considering looking into living in a vehicle, whether it be a van or a Sprinter van or a truck camper, a pull behind trailer, even a Prius, whatever, hopefully sharing some of these things will help you out in your decision. So let's take a little walk through the woods and go over some of the pros and the cons of living in a truck camper versus living in a van. Both of my vans had everything, every amenity that my truck camper has right now. So both of my vans had showers. Both of my vans had couches to sit on that turned into a bed. They both had sinks. Both of my vans had water heaters. Both of my vans had a water purification system. My first van did not have a deep sink. My truck camper didn't come with a deep sink. That was the first thing that I did in my second van, and it's the first thing that I did when I got the truck camper, is replace the sink with a deep sink. Because, just on a side note, I guess, there's nothing better than cooking at night and throwing all your dishes in the sink and being able to drive away, especially if you're staying in a town or something like that where you could possibly get a knock. Obviously more on that later, but both of my vans had every amenity that my truck camper has. The thing that I like about my truck camper more than the vans is it just feels way more spacious. Having that bed up above the cab of the truck makes it to where everything, it just feels like it's a lot more separated, and you just feel like you have a lot more space. The couch setup in my truck camper, the little wraparound couch that I have, is amazing. It's way better than the couches in both of my vans. Sure, if you build a couch in a van, it's sweet. I've been able to fit like 5 or 6 people in my last van easily with the couch setup. I don't know if I can, you're kind of sitting like this in a van, all hunched over. Sides of a van kind of go like that. And I know that a ProMaster kind of goes straight up, but still, it's not like a regular couch. But the couch setup in my truck camper is just amazing. It feels like a real couch. I can also turn it into a bed. I've had plenty of people over for dinner. I've had date nights. I've had all kinds of friends stay in my truck camper. We hang out in there a lot of the times when it's raining, and I've got a much more comfortable place for multiple people to hang out, or for me to just relax when the weather isn't that great and you have to hang out indoors. There's a lot of windows, a lot more windows than you'll have in a van, which just makes the space brighter, a lot more daylight, feels more open. Anyway, the living space is just, it just feels more open. I love rainy, cloudy days. I know a lot of people don't like to hike and that kind of stuff, but I think that the scenery always looks better that way. Plus, it's a little bit cooler just a gorgeous day. Absolutely beautiful. Another thing that I really like about having a truck camper is the ability to go places, more places. My truck is 4-wheel drive. Obviously, I've only lived in this truck camper for a couple of months. I've made it to at least 5 epic spots, like ridiculously cool spots that there's no way that my van would have made it to. And it was almost effortless for the truck. You don't need four-wheel drive to live in a vehicle. You'll see plenty of amazing spots without it. You'll see plenty of amazing spots in a van. I've seen plenty of amazing spots in a van. I loved it, loved every minute of it. But man, getting up to some of these spots on cliffs, or most recently going to places when the sun's about to go down and running out of daylight almost, and all the spots were taken, and the only spots that I could find required 4-wheel drive, and so they were easily available because no one else, none of the van people or RV people wanted to even try it. You just have a lot more options, and you'll pretty much, out in the wilderness anyway, never really run out of places to stay. You'll always find somewhere to stay the night. So far, that's been pretty sweet. Another thing that I'll bring up that I like about my truck camper more than my van is being able to take the camper off of the truck. Obviously, I live in this camper full time. It's my house. If something really, really bad happens to this truck to the point where it's really not even worth it to repair, I can just take the camper off of the truck and get another truck. No big deal. This isn't my forever camper by any means. I'm gonna probably end up getting like a fiberglass camper, maybe like a Bigfoot or something down the road. That will be something that I'll keep for a very, very, very long time. I'm only expecting this truck camper to last maybe 2 years. Either way, if I want to switch out my house, I've got the option. If I want to switch out my vehicle, I've got the option. And with a van, you're just kind of stuck. And if something really bad happens to that van, which has happened to me twice, then you lose your house that you spent so much time and money that you've put into it. Another thing with the 4-wheel drive, if you want 4-wheel drive in a van, you're gonna have to spend like $100,000+ to get a van that you can stand in that has 4-wheel drive. My camper cost me like $3,000. My truck cost me $8,000. I know that the price of everything keeps going up, but I see truck campers for sale for $3,000 all the time. So I see trucks for sale for way less than $8,000 all the time. So you can get a 4-wheel drive truck and a camper for way less than even like a 2-wheel drive van. Obviously, everything that I've put into my camper, like the batteries and the solar panels, the water purification system and all of that, I can just take that stuff off this camper when I switch to my next camper. No big deal. Just another thing to think about. Almost there. Oh yeah. And now for the reward. 'Cause I can make the walls crack. I can make the ceiling cave in. When I have to build it all back up, I don't know where to begin. I can make the walls crack. I can make Another thing that I love about having a truck camper, the separation between the cab, like between the truck and the camper. I keep most of my outdoor stuff like the fire pit, you know, my stools, basically anything outdoors that might possibly smell. I keep all that in the truck. I mean, I got the truck, it's an older truck. I got it so that I could beat it up, take it down horrible roads. It's an old truck, it can take a beating. And I just like having a separate living space in my camper that's clean and free of all those outdoor smells and other stuff. I mean, in my van, both of my vans, I had a garage area underneath the bed, but it'd have to be super organized, and I'm not really good at that. And so a lot of times to get the fire pit out, or the stools or the chairs or the tables or anything like that, you'd have to get way underneath there, sort through a bunch of stuff, where with the truck I can just put everything just behind the seats and it's super easily accessible. Out on the Oregon coast last year, every spot that I looked at on iOverlander was probably 20-30 miles inland, and every single spot said 4x4 recommended. And so I ended up just paying for a campsite near the coast because I didn't want to waste a whole bunch of time in my van driving all the way, you know, 15 to sometimes 40 miles to find a spot in the forest, only to find that I wouldn't be able to get there because I didn't have four-wheel drive. And so with the truck, every time I look at a spot, I don't really question it. I don't worry about whether I'm going to be able to get there or not. It saves me just a ton of time because I don't have to plan as much. I literally just go into the forest. Sometimes I have to fire up Starlink, sometimes not, but I just find a spot and I go to it. And so far, it's not really ever let me down. There's been a couple times where it's muddy, where regardless of any vehicle that you have, obviously that's just something that you're going to have to take into account. If it's not weather related, if I see a spot, I don't question whether I'm going to be able to get to it or not. And that really provides a lot of peace of mind, as opposed to the van where I was always just kind of a little bit worried in the back of my mind. And I took my van down a bunch of very questionable roads, trust me, and it did make it almost every single time. So again, I'm not saying that you can't live in a van with only two-wheel drive and have a wonderful life, because you can. And I would have never switched to a truck or a truck camper had my van not been destroyed by a mechanic. But now that I have one, it's just pretty sweet to have these extra benefits and the extra peace of mind. Oh, a little chilly, which is perfect. I love hiking in chilly weather. I would rather hike when it's a little chilly than hike when it's super hot. It's a lot easier to just layer up and not break a huge sweat. I guess the only cons I could really think of are things about my truck camper that living in it now I miss about my van. Some of the cons. Number one for sure is gas mileage or fuel economy. My truck with that camper on it gets absolutely horrible fuel economy. I would say that every single trip that I take with my truck camper costs me about double what it used to cost in the van. That's just something to think about. Now, does having the peace of mind, knowing that I'll be able to get anywhere that I'm trying to stay in the forest, does that outweigh the con of what it costs to get there? For me, yes, absolutely. But it's something that I've prepared for. It's something that I know is going to cost more money. I'm willing to pay more money to never have to worry about where I'm going to stay the night. The other thing that I do kind of miss, it's not really a deal breaker or anything, but it was super nice to just be able to park and then get out of the seat of my van and just walk right into my house without having to open any doors. I could just get up from the driver's seat and turn around and walk straight back into the house that I built in the back of my van. And that was super convenient. Does it really matter? No, not really. In my first van, and like, I guess kind of when I started living in my second van, stealth, that was like a thing. And so I would stay in the cities a lot. I stay in the cities a lot less nowadays. I still do, but it's a lot less. You know, when you would park at night late at night somewhere, whether it be like a city street, maybe a Planet Fitness parking lot, or maybe a Walmart, wherever it was, Cracker Barrel. It was super nice to just park really quick and then get up and just run into the back of the van and put that blackout curtain up and just, you know, hope that no one saw you or whatever. And that was something that did concern me. It was something that I really did worry about, especially when I first moved into a van, my first van. I don't know, after a while, after you've lived in a vehicle for a while, you really just kind of stop caring about that kind of thing, especially as you travel to more and more cities. You just kind of realize that like there's just a ton of people doing this, and you're not really, like, I don't even care how stealth you think you are. You're really not fooling anyone, or at least you're not fooling the people that are paid, literally paid, to look for people like you that are staying in places where you're not supposed to stay. You're not fooling them. I mean, like, you're not fooling the security guards, you know, in whatever parking lot you decide to stay in. You're not fooling any police officer at all. They all know that someone could possibly be inside that van or that truck camper. So I really don't care about not being able to easily walk into my truck camper. Wherever I park my camper, it's super easy to just open the door and then just go to the back and get in. It was kind of a lazy, quick, easy benefit, but it's not something that I would ever give up my truck camper and go back to a van for at all. Or I guess on the reverse side, if in the middle of the night something happens and you immediately need to leave or something like that, having the option to immediately get out of bed and just run to your driver's seat and just start that van and just take off. I mean, those are definitely benefits, and they are not, it is not something that I'm going to criticize or belittle whatsoever. That is 100% a benefit of living in a van versus living in a truck camper. But again, it's just not something that I worry about, and it's just not something that I would ever move back into a van to have. But I mean, I've never had a scare like that, ever. I've never been in a situation where I got the knock or something really creepy happened where, like in my van, I had to get up and immediately just run to the driver's seat and start the engine and take off. I've never had that happen. A lot of times that kind of depends on where you choose to stay. I know though that those things happen. I'm not denying that at all. You can't control it. You could park in the middle of the woods. Something like that could happen. You could park in a Walmart parking lot with crazy security and something like that could still happen. I've seen absolutely horrible stories on the internet of people waking up in the middle of the night to someone literally inside of the driver's side of their van or whatever vehicle. They were trying to break in and steal stuff and didn't realize someone was in there sleeping. But again, I don't know. Can you really prevent that? Like, it's out of your control. So, I mean, like, if you live in a truck camper, the same exact thing could happen with someone trying to break into your truck. The same thing could happen in a van. I just don't worry about things that are out of my control. So, again, is that something that I would trade my truck camper to go back to living in a van? Probably not. No. Because again, you can't really control that stuff. It's going to happen anyway, regardless of wherever you are. One thing I did in my van that was super helpful is I put security cameras up that had night vision on every single entrance. And so if anybody would walk up close by, like get close to the doors or anything like that, the cameras would start to glow red. And so they would see that as they're approaching the door. And so that was super helpful. Maybe that's why I never had that sort of experience with someone trying to break into my stuff. I don't know. I do have a security camera, a couple security cameras on my truck camper that do the exact same thing as well. They're super cheap. The ones that I got this time run off of Bluetooth, and I can just look at them from my phone from inside the camper, and I can see whoever's out there, and they do glow red at night. They have night vision, and so that helps deter people from trying to probably break into your stuff. But again, you can't really control that, and that's not something that I choose to worry about. Obviously, I'm still very cautious about where I choose to park. A lot of that comes with experience. A lot of that comes with just time, living on the road multiple years. So I guess that's about all I have to say about that. I mean, even to get up to this spot, to this trailhead that I'm on, the sign right away, right when I pulled onto the forest road, said 4-wheel drive recommended. And I mean, I could have definitely made it up here with my van. I would have been cringing the entire time. It was super easy with the truck. It was very windy, bumpy road. It was decently maintained. Definitely a lot of elevation. But again, like I said, with a truck and 4-wheel drive, I just really never question it anymore. It just adds a ton of peace of mind. I guess to add to the more space that I feel like I have with my truck camper, it's pretty cool because like I have everything separated more. I have more room inside to live, just a more spacious living area. And yet it's shorter than my van and it fits in parking spots that my van, it probably still could, but barely could make it. And again, it's registered as a truck. It's just carrying some cargo. So having more space with something that's just a little bit smaller is definitely something that I'm grateful for. I guess another thing that a lot of people probably don't think of that I love is with my truck camper, I can have more friends hang out with me and I can take them on adventures with me. With my van, I did that as well. But the living situation was always really cramped. You know, we'd always have to share the bed, or I'd have to set up like some sort of an air mattress thing on the floor, which usually I would take because I wanted to be a good host. With my truck camper, I have a guest bed. My couch turns into a guest bed. And so I can just take my friends with me. Chances are a lot of your friends, like my friends, don't all live in vehicles. And so if I want to take a good buddy with me that doesn't live in a vehicle out up to the forest for a trip sometime, I've got a place for them to stay. I've got a guest bed that they can stay in. It's very spacious. It doesn't feel super cramped. And so it's just a lot easier to have company over and take company with you. I mean, this lifestyle is super awesome, but if you have to do everything alone all the time, I don't know. I love being alone. I spend most of my time alone. We're out here walking alone. I guess you guys are with me, but it's really nice to have company sometimes. And if you know, you want to go out into the woods or up some mountains or somewhere out into the desert and you're able to provide all of the amenities to your friends that don't have them, that don't live in vehicles, it just makes it a little bit easier to say, hey, you want to hang out this weekend? Let's go out to this place. You can come stay at my place. I'll take you. And it's just a lot easier to hang out with your friends when you have a really big spacious truck camper. Man, that was a really long walk. Absolutely gorgeous though. Super stoked that I did it, but I'm getting kind of tired. So we're on our way back now and we'll get back to that spot that I have. I think we'll probably just stay there, but hopefully we'll get a fire going. There are fire bans, so we'll get the new fire of truck camper life for the next couple months going and we'll cook some sweet food and we'll keep talking about this. Oh man, that feels so good after a long hike. Cheers. After a long hike, this is sure a great way to end the day. Absolutely perfect. And it was all cans, so not like no cleanup at all. Just one pan and a bowl. That's my kind of truck camper life right there. I'm gonna snack on this for the whole night. Well, I guess the last thing that we didn't talk about that I'd probably bring up is on the issue of stealth. In my first van, that is like all that I cared about was stealth. I was living in Lincoln, Nebraska in a van and working DoorDash and Uber Eats and stuff. I would stay at different places, like a different place every single night. You know, being stealth was super important to me. In my second van, I DoorDash and Uber Eats all over the country. Stealth was kind of important, but in all reality, when I made the decision to switch to a truck camper, I really didn't care about stealth at all. I kind of think stealth is overrated. It's just something that people worry about for mostly no reason. What I have found, and again, before we're starting arguments in the comments section, this is just my opinion based off of my experience. This isn't like the law of the land. When it comes to like stealth parking, you know, especially the further out west that you get, almost everywhere that you decide to park, there are people paid to look for people like you. There are like security guards in every single parking lot. There are no parking signs, no overnight parking signs everywhere. The police are looking everywhere. And so anytime I ever had to stay in like a city, I just kind of picked places that I knew I could stay. It's just that easy. I mean, most of us don't want to stay in a city anyway. Most of us are trying to get outdoors and stay on National Forest or BLM land, but I always would just stay where I knew I was allowed, whether that be a public street, a Walmart, Cracker Barrel, Planet Fitness, whatever. But what I have found with the stealth thing is, especially in bigger cities like, as an example, Seattle or Portland, for me, actually, it made more sense to make it look like maybe someone actually was in that rig. Like maybe someone was sleeping in that van, because there's a lot of crime in those cities and nothing ever happened to me. I would stay in neighborhoods, I would stay in parking lots, I would stay pretty much anywhere, and I really wasn't even that stealth, and nothing ever happened, probably because of my security cameras that glowed when you got too close. But in my opinion, stealth is dumb. People are going to break into your car, people are going to break into your van. If anything, you would probably want to make it look like maybe someone would be inside that vehicle, because then no one's going to mess with it at all. And the police and the security guards and all of those other people that are paid to look for people like you, they're not going to do anything to you unless they have a reason to. That's just kind of why I don't care about stealth anymore. And that's why I picked my truck camper. And I knew that I'd be giving up all stealth, obviously, with like a green truck camper and the setup that I have. But what I have found is every city that I've ever stayed in with this truck camper, no one has bothered me. It doesn't matter where I park, on a city street, in a parking lot, anywhere. And I think the out-of-state plates kind of give that away. I think anybody that is looking at my camper in any sort of a negative way probably realizes that I'm just passing through and staying for the night, if they even know that I am staying. But if they do get kind of close, I want them to maybe question whether or not I am in there, because I don't want them doing anything to my rig. And so, but like, I know a lot of people that really value stealth. Some of my really good friends have stealth vehicles. For me personally, it just doesn't matter. And I would choose being able to get anywhere that I want to, whenever I want to, and the comfort of a bigger rig and more spacious interior over stealth any day. I've heard Bob Wells say you can either have comfort or you can have freedom. To be honest, I don't know. I've got comfort and I've got freedom, and I really don't think that you have to compromise that much. Anyways, thank you for coming along on this truck camper adventure today. We did a lot. We summited a mountain, made some sweet food, and talked about some good old-fashioned proper truck camper life. And so I hope you had as much fun as I did. And I guess on that note, that about wraps this one up, guys. Away she goes, I suppose. So if you made it this far in the video, then chances are you're probably into this kind of stuff. So make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And keep on living that dream. And if you haven't found that dream yet, don't stop looking for it. You never know where it might be. You might even find that it's living out of a truck camper, summiting a mountain in the pouring rain, and cooking bean dip over a completely 100% fake fire somewhere out in the middle of Utah. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Good morning. I'm up here at around 10,000 feet at the same spot from the last video where I came out here to summit Mount Holly. And I did that yesterday, and this morning I was getting ready to get out of here, and I fired up the old Dodge and the brake light came on. I checked the brake fluid and it's super low. It's on the fill line, so I still have a little bit of brake fluid, but I'm leaking somewhere. This is like the worst time for this to happen at 10,000 feet. The only way out of here is straight up downhill on steep grades. It's all down. It's all downhill from here. If something does happen and someone finds this, just know that I went out doing exactly what I love, which is living that good old-fashioned proper truck camper life. And I couldn't think of a better way to go out. So, whew.